Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, July 7th, 2023. Means it's time for us to answer all of your burning questions live. Take a quick sec, friends. Drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Hey, Ellie, good to see you in Virginia. Hey, Fred. It's a very humid Friday indeed here. Hey, Mike, welcome back. Mike in Anaheim. Hey, Sherry, happy Friday to you. Curtis, in Georgia, you were first. You were first to the chat, friend. Hi, Ian. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Ian, look what I have right here. It makes me think of you every day. Pry it off my file cabinet. Your old Los Angeles NORML pin. You're in Los Angeles. Make sure you get connected with LA NORML. I mean, Mike, you're in Anaheim. That's close enough. Hey, insulin type 1. Good to see you back. Hey, Andrea, happy Friday. Hello, Fareed in Georgia. Hey, Scott, good to see you, friend. Hey, Connie in Texas. I hope you're a member of Texas NORML. They're doing crazy, amazing, awesome work there. Hey, Roderick in Florida. I'm sorry. I'm from there. But we'll be headed down to Florida at the end of the year, so maybe we'll see you. Hey, Tucker in Missouri. One of our newest legalization states. Good to see you. Can we see you? No, Scott, I can't see. Well, I can see your comments. I can't see you personally, though. Oh, Sherry. Like how I did that? Kicking it right off. We're just going to start with this. All right, this is great. Sherry says to everyone, Maryland made millions this past weekend, and Virginia's Governor Glenn Youngkin, obviously doesn't want that tax money here. I mean, he obviously doesn't want a lot of things, and that just tips us off right into probably my favorite story of the week. There you go. Y'all can see it now. All right, so here's what happened, and a lot of you already know this because we talked about it on last week's show. When we were in the Cannabis Public Health Advisory Council meeting, which is an advisory board to the Virginia's Cannabis Control Authority Board of Directors, the commissioner of the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, which regulates hemp in Virginia, the commissioner of VDAX said, as you all can read now, and I quote, Governor Youngkin has stated that he is not interested in any further moves toward legalization of adult recreational use marijuana, said Joseph Guthrie, commissioner of the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services during a Virginia Cannabis Public Health Advisory Council meeting last week. So I wouldn't expect that during his administration, end quote. There it is in black and white, like we've been saying all along. What a great article, just spilling all the tea. Of course, there's some quotes from yours truly in there. And I'll remind you that it doesn't matter if you're in Virginia or any other state. Thank you, Cassidy. I don't even know what that is that I'm looking at. Doesn't matter what state you're in. Opposing adult use retail, legalizing and regulating the retail sale of cannabis is an active choice an active choice by that body, that person, to continue emboldening illicit operators, to continue driving people, consumers, to an unregulated underground marketplace. And what's fascinating about that is when we see politicians who purport to be so concerned with public safety, like prohibition, lack of access, that doesn't provide for public or consumer safety. And public safety is not about protecting the public from consumers. Consumers are part of the public. It's wild. Anyhow, cat's out of the bag in black and white. Insulin, I love your comment, and I'm gonna let people go find it there. Hey, Willie from New Zealand. Wow, good to see you here. Ellie, they do have a good governor up there. Whoo. Scott, I like half of your comment about voting, so let's talk about that. Since we're talking about Virginia, let's remind everyone that every seat in the General Assembly is up for re-election, or up for election this November. Of course, you'll still be coming back to the Youngkin administration, so even if you have a legislature that will get a bill to him, given his administration's on-the-record recent statements, who knows if he would even sign a bill? Who knows? Yeah, so make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you vote in every single election, regardless of where you live, friends. Also, be sure you check out our voter guide at vote.normal.org before you cast your ballot, so you know where that person stands on cannabis issues in your state. Hey, James, what did you miss? Oh, you missed a big one, my friend. You missed the on-the-record statement from the Youngkin administration that he is not interested in legalizing adult use sales. But you can scroll up and take that. Listen, do we think he'll try to roll things back? His on-the-record statement, Scott, has been no. But we have, in fact, seen a new marijuana misdemeanor enacted in the Commonwealth post-legalization. So I don't believe anything this administration says at this point. Has this dude ever left the state? Yeah, he spends a lot of time in other states campaigning for politicians. Not a lot of time here in Virginia working on issues we care about, though. He doesn't have to go anywhere to see dispensaries. We have dispensaries in Virginia, real ones. Hey, let's catch up on some other state policy actions. Yeah, you're right, Curtis. That is, in fact, the stigma of marijuana is still here. It still looms large across all of the U.S., despite the fact that Americans just don't support the policy of prohibition any longer. But to that point, Curtis, something great did happen. Something really excellent happened. I understand this is probably not going to affect the majority of today's viewers, but you never know. The NBA removed cannabis from its prohibited substances list. League officials and the NBA Players Association signed a collective bargaining agreement that drops cannabis from the league's list of banned substances, and it codifies the changes that were implemented on a temporary basis back in 2020 that limited the ability of league officials to randomly screen players for marijuana and to punish those who test positive. Under this new policy, teams can refer players who they think may have marijuana-related dependency issues, which is certainly a real thing, to the medical director for an evaluation. But league officials will no longer test drug test NBA players for marijuana exposure. Well, that's good news. Similar policy changes that are adopted by Major League Baseball. That recently dropped cannabis from its list of banned substances. And unfortunately, the NFL and the NHL do still continue to drug test some players for cannabis use. But they don't impose suspensions for players who do test positive. And then we talked about earlier, the NCAA signaled its support for removing cannabis from the association's banned list of banned drug list. So, good news in sports for weed. Right, Andrea? Right? Andrea says, but if we don't establish a regulated retail market, people just won't use cannabis, right? Emoji, eye roll. Eye roll. This is sarcasm, in case you're listening and not watching. Right? That's not what happens. People obviously use cannabis, whether they have regulated access or not. When they don't have regulated access, there's no guarantee that the product that they're purchasing is safe or affordable or convenient. Oh, I can't even with this nonsense down here. All right, you all just hash that out. Wow, Tucker, thanks for sharing that. I'm going to have to drink a lot of water to get through this show, everyone. Tucker says, yay, NBA. Next needs to be the military. Right, next needs to be the end of federal prohibition, which I think that the military is going to come after that. It's probably not. It's probably going to come sometime after that, but I think federal prohibition is going to come before that happens. It is, in fact, yes, Curtis, legalization can, in fact, be like pulling teeth, but we are slowly pulling them one by one. And that leads me to want to share this story with you, which I, for some reason, didn't conveniently have ready for you. There are major changes to U.S. cannabis law that took effect around the country on July 1st, because July 1st is the date that policy changes often take effect. Really incredible, historic progress this year. Of course, on July 1, Maryland legalization took effect. That's possession, cultivation, retail sales. In Connecticut, personal cultivation at home took effect. Of course, Virginia and Nevada had multiple medical cannabis program improvements. If you're going to New Hampshire, maybe you're going to go leaf peeping in New Hampshire. I've done that. 10 out of 10 would recommend. So head up to New Hampshire this fall. If you're a medical cannabis patient, good news, there's reciprocity there now. So as long as you have a valid medical cannabis card from another state, you can use that in New Hampshire now. California and Louisiana have expunged thousands of prior cannabis offenses and more underway. In fact, in California, we are now 7 years after Prop 64 took effect. That was the ballot initiative, the voter referendum that legalized cannabis for adults in California 7 years ago. Finally, in California, about 90% of eligible cannabis offenses have been expunged or sealed or resentenced. This is 206,502 cases out of an estimated 227,650. So major expungement and record sealing progress in California. That's awesome. Big news, big news. But I would encourage you all to take a look at that piece I just shared earlier about major changes to cannabis law taking effect around the US. It really is incredible what we've been able to do together. And this is thanks to your advocacy, your activism, your support that we've been able to make these changes. And remember earlier this year, we had Delaware and Minnesota also legalize adult use, and Kentucky legalized medical cannabis. Amazing, huge, big shout out to Kentucky NORML for their fantastic work moving that issue forward. We really could not have made such incredible progress this year without your support. So thank you, truly thank you from me personally. Thank you from all of us, working every day here at NORML. But there's also still critical efforts underway around the country, and those do need your support. They need your emails to legislators, to governors, to sign these bills, to advance these bills. And frankly, if you can chip in $5 or $10, it'll really go a long way to make sure we're getting those emails to the people that need to see them, that we have the resources to empower our advocates to take action in those states. In Ohio, there's a legalization bill that's awaiting a committee hearing and then a subsequent vote. We shared an article in yesterday's email about North Carolina and the traction, the interest that is building around medical cannabis legalization in that state. In California, Connecticut, Maine, and New Jersey, there are efforts to establish social venues where legal cannabis can be consumed. This is not just important for people who live there, who may live in, multifamily housing like an apartment or a condo, or they can't, or rental housing, they can't smoke inside. Oftentimes it's not legal to smoke outside. And so having licensed venues where people can go consume, like we do for alcohol, provides a certain measure of safety and freedoms for these individuals and for people who are visiting. You can't smoke or vape in a hotel. So what are you supposed to do? Often people do it outside or in the hotel room, and both of those are not a good idea. And then California and Pennsylvania also have legislation pending to expand medical cannabis program. This is just a small sampling. You can see everything that's pending on our ACT page, our Take Action Center. That's norml.org/act. And let's see, there are still 132 cannabis-related bills that are pending around the country that we're tracking on that page. And most legislatures have already done for 2023, and we still have 132 bills. So take a look. If you haven't joined NORML yet, what better day than today? Turn around and get these out every time. Why don't I just leave it on the desk? I'd love to send you your 2023 official, look at that, all that reflection, official NORML member card. I'm sorry, random person who asked me about this last week, but yes, you do have to write your own name on the back of the card. I don't have that amount of technology in this tiny office, but look, the card's awesome, and I want to send it to you. That's right, it comes from me personally. So become a member if you haven't yet. I will send you one of those. Hey, you know what today is? Today is World Chocolate Day. Why do I know that? Because Facebook. So this is cute. Right, hold on. It just looks like chocolate, but you know what? It's not. It's also not what you think it is. It's a lighter. You can get this in the Virginia NORML Facebook shop. Now, even though it had the tiniest little flame in there, that was just the tester to make sure it works. It's dead. They do come empty. We don't ship things with lighter fluid in them, but this is super fun. You can get it there. What a cool way to celebrate World Chocolate Day by donating to your favorite local organization and getting something cool in return. Yeah. Oh, hey, Insulin. Insulin says Ohio and North Carolina would be huge. Everyone I know in Florida has a medical card. Yes, and in Florida, they just had some good progress on. Man, everything is jacked up in the stream today. They did have some great progress in Florida when it comes to medical cannabis program participation. Now, patients still have to be certified initially in person, but after that, physicians can issue like renewals by telehealth. So good job. But also in yesterday's email that we sent out, as we send out every Thursday, Normal News, there's a piece in Forbes that talks about Ron DeSantis and how terrible he's been. He did sign that bill, but how terrible he's been on cannabis policy and what that would mean at, a national level. Greg, you can get that. You can get that in our Facebook shop, Greg. Also, Greg, thanks to Sneeds for their support. That was really cool. Appreciate that donation. Oh, Kentucky NORML. I can't even find one. I could, but it'd take me half an hour to find one. That's hilarious. Kentucky NORML. This is Lauren. Lauren says that she gets compliments on her old lady cannabis brooch all the time. Sorry, friends. It was not conveniently located. It's not an old lady brooch, Lauren, but what would I know? Tucker, you want a card? No, that's the wrong one. Yes, you want a card, Tucker. Yes. If you haven't joined yet for 2023, please do. Please. Does Kentucky have reciprocity? Hey, Tucker, if you don't know Lauren at Kentucky NORML, you do now. Make sure you get connected. There's the program in Kentucky is not quite yet operational. There's some legal protections for patients, but there isn't access yet. They're in the beginning of that program. Will they have reciprocity? I hope so. We'll find out. Get connected with Lauren and Matthew in Kentucky NORML so you can help them make sure that happens. Hey, Anwar in Virginia. You work in tobacco. Okay, cool. Don't buy that unregulated trash. That's terrible. John, I don't know what you mean or where you are. I mean, I know what you mean because I can read, but I don't know where you are. So if you want to tell me where medical is overpriced, then have at it. Then we'll know. Yeah. All right. Huh. Well, that's something. Tucker, they're restricting what kind of applications? Like patient applications? The county shouldn't have anything to do with that. I'm going to choke on water today, laughing at all of your comments. Kentucky NORML says old white men in legislatures dig old lady brooches. That is good to know, Lauren. Can you renew your membership here while the event is still happening? I mean, Scott, you certainly can, but don't leave the live stream because we're having such a great time. But yeah, you could open another tab on your browser and go to norml.org/join. Norml.org/join. That's how you join NORML. $35 a year. Yes, Curtis, Georgia does need to get up to speed. They've made a little more progress recently, but look, this is what happens when you don't get out the vote. Elections have consequences, friends. You're seeing that around the country. Hey, John in Christiansburg. Oh, John in Christiansburg. All right. So here's the thing, John. You have great access down in Southwest Virginia, thanks to the Virginians who started Dharma. The very first medical cannabis dispensary to open in the state of Virginia was called Dharma. They're now all called Rise. There are multiple, there's 6 now out in Southwest Virginia, including one in Christiansburg. And Virginia's medical cannabis prices, while they might seem high compared to the West Coast, I hate to break it to everyone, but we're on the East Coast, and prices here are now consistent with other East Coast states. It's just how it is. A lot cheaper than it used to be. Oh, and beginning July 1 in Virginia, practitioners. We don't have to call them registered practitioners anymore because they don't have to register. So healthcare providers who are eligible to issue certifications to patients in the state don't have to register with the state any longer, with the Board of Pharmacy. So there's actually a guidance document. If you're a healthcare provider who issues medical cannabis certifications in the state of Virginia, you're getting a guidance document sometime today. Later today is what I know. And there are changes that took effect July 1, including that you don't have to register with the Board of Pharmacy any longer. And I know what you want is the form to use to issue these certifications. It was supposed to be available on July 2nd. Apparently, it was emailed to registered practitioners, but of course, you're not required to register anymore. Haven't seen it on the website. I looked at the Board of Pharmacy website yesterday. There were no updates to it reflecting the changes that took effect on July 1. What it used to be, the form used to be there available for download, so maybe they'll put it back. We'll find out. Prices are the same in the US and Canada. Some places, I'm sure. Yes. Well, here's the thing. You know, the M in our name stands for marijuana, but sometimes we have to talk about other drugs. Yeah, you have to keep voting, Curtis. Curtis says he's been voting for 8 years and change hasn't happened, but I'm still optimistic. It's just that our governor, Kemp, keeps talking about fentanyl and no solution. I hope the governor is aware that states which have medical cannabis access do see a reduction in opioid overdose, hospitalizations, and fatalities. So it can be really effective. It was something that was meaningful in Kentucky in their adoption of medical cannabis. It was meaningful in Virginia. Tucker is asking, have advances in cannabis banking happened? At the state level, in some instances, sure. At the federal level, not yet. Not yet. But there is a pending action alert for the Safe Banking Act. And I know you can't wait to send a message to your U.S. senators. Oh, give me the whole link, please. There we go. There you go, Tucker. The U.S. Senate is finally holding serious hearings on the Safe Banking Act, so that's good news. And this legislation, which has already been approved by the House of Representatives 7 times, would allow state licensed cannabis businesses to more easily access financial services like simple bank accounts and the traditional lending that is available to other legal businesses. So please send a message. You're right, Curtis. Safe banking would be a game changer. Absolutely. All right, what else can I tell you about? So, hey, we have some events coming up. We're going to talk about those real quick. All right. Hey, if you're in Virginia and you want to meet with the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority live and in person, and you do because they're actually really competent regulators. They'll answer your questions. They don't make laws, so please don't be coming at them, whining and complaining about how you don't like the laws in Virginia. That's on you. You elect these people. When you elect terrible lawmakers, you get terrible laws. Cannabis Control Authority is the regulator. They like to talk to you and tell you what's what and tell you what they can do with the people you've elected. They'll be at Shenandoah Valley. They'll be in Shenandoah Valley for their town hall. This is at 1 College Lane. Oh, right. Cassidy can't see the comments right now, so this is on me. Oh my gosh. Let's see if I did okay. I can't wait to see how terribly I'm doing with this, Cassidy. I mean, I can, but here we go. Right, all the words just run together. Hope it looks better on. Hope it looks better in real life. Great. So that is July 12th, coming up in 5 days. July 12th from 5:30 to 7:30 in Wires Cave. Coming up July 20th is Live with Kentucky NORML. They do this once a month. They also stream our show every week. Once a month, they do Live with Kentucky NORML. That'll be July 20th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Virginia NORML will be at Virginia Pride Fest on Browns Island in September 23rd from 12 to 7. So check that out. Oh, I'm doing terribly, Cassidy. I cannot replace you. I'm trying to keep up. I don't know why StreamYard is not playing nicely today, but won't let Cassidy see your comments or comment. There's the Live with Kentucky NORML info. You can find more on Facebook. I know they stream other places, but they stream on Facebook. Job security. Yes, indeed, Cassidy. There's the information about Pride Fest. Come out and see us there. It's some cool stuff. Like this. Ooh, also like these. We have coming out green stickers. You'll be able to get those there as well. I have sparkly ones also. Sparkly is probably the wrong word. Holographic. Thank you, Sticker Mule, for the holographic coming out green stickers. Appreciate those. There's also a NORML fundraiser coming up. Hey, if you're doing NORML events, it'd be super cool if you let us know so that we could talk about those. But since you're not telling me, we're just going to talk about the same ones over and over, which is NORML, Kentucky NORML, and Virginia NORML. I know other chapters are doing things. Just I need that info, friends. Ink Sanity in Leesburg, Virginia is hosting a fundraiser. There'll be discounted prices on cannabis tattoo flash. Proceeds benefit Virginia NORML. Super cool. Check that out. October 7th, 12 to 7 p.m. I expect I'll be up there as well. No, I will not be getting any cannabis tattoos. And then I mentioned this earlier about going to Florida. The NORML Key West Legal Seminar is November 30th through December 2nd. And that's right, you guessed it, Key West, Florida, which is really just one of the best places to be if you're going to be in that state. We're at the Pier House Resort and Spa. They are very kind to us. They're delightful. You will get to hear from legal experts from around the country who specialize in cannabis law. If you're an attorney, there is continuing legal education credit available for this seminar. But if you are not an attorney, that is A-okay, my friend. You get a discounted rate and you get to connect with legal experts and those who are working to change cannabis laws and defend the rights of cannabis consumers across the nation. Plus, we have a fun benefit dinner for the NORML Foundation. We'd love to see you all in Key West this December. Sherry, you'll have a link for us for the Ink Sanity fundraiser probably next week. That's great. I shared the Facebook one. I found the Facebook link. I looked. I did it. All right. We had a couple other state policy changes this week. There's a sort of business related bill in California, SB 51, that will be heard and up for a vote on July 11th by the Assembly Business and Professions Committee. There's an action alert for that on our ACT page. In Ohio, HB 168, which would create a regulated market for adult use cannabis, has been referred to the House Finance Committee for a hearing and a vote. So if you're in Ohio, make sure you are sending that action alert, and you are sending it to everyone you know to also contact their lawmakers and support. Please and thank you. There's a bill that failed in Oregon. There's two bills that failed in Oregon. There's a House bill that sought to prohibit public healthcare employers from denying employment or taking adverse employment actions against people solely on the basis of a positive drug test for cannabis, and unfortunately that bill failed. As did House Bill 3567 in Oregon that sought to add palliative care for cancers and comprehensive pain management to the list of qualifying conditions for the use of medical cannabis. My mind is boggled when I hear that there are states that still have made up lists of conditions, especially in Oregon where cannabis is legal. Why do you still have a made up list of conditions for your medical cannabis program? Sorry, this is like out here on the East Coast in Virginia, which are right below Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, in case you're wondering. We don't have a made up list of conditions. So what do you do in West Coast states? That's weird. That's such an outdated policy. If you're in a state that has a weird list of conditions, I'm sorry. Please begin advocating immediately for someone to introduce a let doctors decide bill. I don't know why y'all are still letting your lawmakers decide if you get health care or not. That's weird. Like, do you call your senator and like, hey, is this the right treatment for my arthritis? Of course not. You don't ask them like if you should have open heart surgery or if you should have antibiotics or which antibiotic you should have. Yet we let legislators make up lists of conditions for access to medical cannabis. That's absurd. That's like such an outdated policy. That's almost as outdated as prohibition. Greg, you want to draft a bill for Virginia about what? About what? Yeah, Oregon is kind of strange. But look, that's the Wild West state. And, they were figuring it out. Hey, Andrea, I love that you said that. I love that you said that. Andrea says North Carolina's medical bill has a very restrictive list of medical conditions. But since North Carolina has nothing at all right now, we'll take what we can get. The commission can add to it later. You sure can, and you sure should. You know what we started with in Virginia? One condition. One. Just one. Okay. It felt gross. It felt terrible. It felt terrible saying, great job, everyone. One condition. But we went from one condition in 2015 to legal adult use in 2021. 6 years. Very fast to go from one condition, affirmative defense, so not even actually legal, and no access to adult use. So Andrea, I love where you're at. You got to start somewhere. Absolutely. Come back and make it better. Next thing that's up, Andrea, North Carolina, after you get over this big hurdle, that will absolutely need to be let doctors decide. Kentucky did it. Virginia did it. Other states have done it. It's ripe for the picking in North Carolina. James, I'm sorry. Please repeat your question because I believe I may have missed it. My apologies. Our streaming software is a little wonky today. Hey, John, good to see you. Yes. John Fetterman supports legalizing marijuana. I assume this is a headline that you're sharing with me, John. John Fetterman supports legalizing marijuana. Yes, he does. However, people in Pennsylvania are getting arrested for it. Yes, people are getting arrested for marijuana in Pennsylvania and all across the United States. That's unfortunate. Greg, that's a fascinating list of proposals you have there. Residency requirements are illegal, so maybe rethink that one. VDAX is not particularly competent, so maybe rethink that one too. They could be, but they'd have to hire people and have funding. No shade. I have people that I love, adore working with at VDAX. They do not have the support that they need, and the new leadership under the current administration is not helping. Oh, hey, Brian. It took me a minute to see. Still thinking he may fix this next year after his presidential run announcement? No, I'm not thinking anything about that, Brian. Brian, did you see the article that I shared? Brian's talking about Governor Youngkin of Virginia and his affinity for drug dealers and his love of maintaining a raging illicit market in the Commonwealth. That's what Brian's talking about. Instead of, legalizing access, Governor Youngkin apparently would prefer to just, keep growing the illicit market in the state for some reason. Hey, if you're part of the administration and you're tired of me saying this, then do something. No, Brian. In fact, I shared an article earlier in the stream. You can find it on NORML's Facebook as well. A Daily Press article. What happened last week, Brian? There was a Cannabis Public Health Advisory Council meeting, and the commissioner of VDAX said with his out loud voice on the record that Youngkin opposes any forward movement on retail access. So, no, I don't think he's going to do anything. I think best case scenario in Virginia, and this is still an incredibly steep hill to climb. Under the Youngkin administration, I think the best case scenario is maybe we will be able to claw and fight to get sales at the existing medical dispensaries to adults. Just like Maryland did on July 1st. And don't come at me with the whining and complaining about who gets to make money first or next off of consumers. That's not our concern here. Our concern is solely consumers and their access to products that are safe, convenient, and affordable. If you want to talk about business, there's business associations, there are a dime a dozen. Go get one of those. We're talking about consumers here. Consumers have rights. They deserve legal access. And if there's a store that already sells medical cannabis, that store ought to be able to sell cannabis to adults who are 21 or older because it's legal in Virginia. In other states do this. Maryland just did that. Maryland's governor was so smart on this. So smart. He prepared and he said, listen, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have a process in place so that these existing medical dispensaries can apply, can pay money on a sliding scale. They can be ready to sell on July 1, and that's what they did. And you did not see just a litany of full spectrum tears about that. People just said, oh, okay, and they did it. But for some reason in this state, it is nothing but whining and moaning about it. And man, is it exhausting. Also, if you're interested in entering the cannabis space in any state that doesn't yet have access, your competition is the illicit market. It's not some medical dispensary. Get real. If you're not sophisticated enough to understand that, then Google's free. Do some reading. Anwar, hello. Let me see your question. Sorry, your question is, do we have to stop selling Virginia Delta 8 oils and flowers or only the gummies? I would encourage you to read the guidance document that was issued by VDAX to hemp retailers. Oh, I see, James. I see your question now. Your question, I'm going to read it so that everyone, so in case you're not watching and you're just listening, you can hear as well. This question says, where I'm at, the administrator has accused me of being a drug dealer because I have my medical card, and there are other residents consuming cannabis without a medical card, and the administrator assumes they're getting it from you. What do you do? That sucks. Keep your products locked up. I assume you're storing them responsibly. I thought I was going to reach in here and find they're down here. A bag came out. You're either going to see a bag or a case, and it's going to be a bag today. So first things first, whether this is for James or for anyone, I strongly encourage you to lock your cannabis products up. If there's any question about whether or not you're storing them properly, this is the bag. It's smell proof, has a charcoal liner. It has a little lock on it. You see, you set the combination, prevent access by those who shouldn't have access. So, perhaps that's something that you could share with the said administrator, James, that you in fact do store your legally accessed cannabis products safely and responsibly, and that you are responsible for what other adults may or may not be doing, whether they be doing it legally and responsibly or not. Sounds like that person's terrible. Hey, Jill, much love to you as well. Hey, Shanna, good to see you. We do have so much work ahead of us, Shanna, all across the country. I was talking about that earlier. Scott, it can be exhausting, but it is also very fulfilling work. Scott says it's exhausting to be an activist. Thank you for your hard work. It's great to know that the work that we're doing together impacts the lives of millions of people. It's really incredible. Tucker, thank you for writing your member of Congress about the SAFE Act. That's quite a member you have there too, right? Josh Hawley. Wow. Good, James. I'm glad you have that. Jill, you're welcome. All right, friends, it is almost 5 o'clock, and I have enjoyed hanging out with you. Greg, you can ask someone to write a bill for you, but that's not how it works in this legislature. First, what happens is we need to get through the November election, and we'll see what the majority is in each chamber. I can tell you that Senator Edmonds is going to carry the bill in the Senate. Full stop. Done. In the House, that doesn't mean someone else isn't going to enter a bill, but he is the senior member. It is his issue in the Senate. He's going to carry the Senate version, at least for Democrats. I mean, if Republicans take the Senate, I'd be surprised if there were any one of them that would introduce a cannabis retail bill. It could be, but I wouldn't expect it to be good. The House is a different story. Whether it's controlled by Republicans or Democrats after the election, we don't yet know. But House Republicans, there are plenty of them that are smart on cannabis access. So I wouldn't. Greg, don't waste time reinventing the wheel. Mike, you have a great weekend as well. Hey, listen, if you missed anything, you can catch up on it because this lives on the internet apparently forever or until we take it down. But before you go, please take a quick second to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. We try to do it every week. Sometimes we do go on vacation, though. Very rarely. This has been a delight as always. I look forward to doing this again next week. So hit me up with your burning questions, friends. Hey, I hope you all have a safe. I don't have the final closing slide because this platform deleted everything. Great. Hey, everyone. I hope you have a great weekend. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye. Maybe. All right, bye.